Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're live. Hello, everyone. How's it going? Nice to see everyone is back. It's a first live stream in a long time. And I'm here joined by Super Sufi, not his real name, but we're going to talk to my friend. We became friends, I don't know, maybe a year ago or more than that. It was a while ago we became friends and we started talking. And
Mm-hmm.
as I understand, you're still in Pakistan.
Yeah, I am. Hi. Um, I think it's not a year. It's less than a year, but around 6 months
Yeah.
when we spoke first time,
Mhm.
and then we were trying to find a suitable time, and like it was really hot, and when summer is there, I'm really like I hibernate or something. I go into a cave and I cannot do anything. I'm really dumb in summer. So I
Mhm.
was waiting for the winter so I cool down so I can talk
Nice.
about these hot issues.
So tell us, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Okay, I was born in Pakistan, but lived most of my life in Dubai. I was 7 when I left, and then I moved to Russia. Lived there. Lived in Sri Lanka. So I lived in like I came back to Pakistan, and it's my first 5 years in my when I came back to like came back as start living understanding the culture and environment and a country which is like very very fundamental and there are a lot of fanatics here and all that. So I never came across that in Dubai. So when
Okay.
I was brought up there, it was milder because it's all controlled there. It's more of a commercial country. So, but we have this, like, there are sects, but they are controlled. You don't have, and but when I was hearing all this, stories about people getting aggressive and mullahs and all that, staying in Dubai, I was always thinking, they are good people. They're trying to do good things, and why everybody is against them.
Hmm.
But when I came back, well, because when I left when I was 7, and we used to come for vacation and all that, and I never realized it. And I used to do Dawah, like all of us. We have gone through that phase when I used to do Dawah on this Facebook and all, to some groups, and used to do some presentations, Quran and science and all that. Uh, and sometimes I was a practicing Muslim, and sometimes I was not. But I was never against religion. That was like that was decided,
Hmm.
whether I was like practicing or non-practicing. But I was never against it. But the last 10 years, like if we go 12 years back, before I left religion completely, first Islam and then completely religion,
Hmm.
and I was very practicing for last 10 years, and it was so like I was praying 5 times in a mosque, and then fasting and doing nawafils and all that. So uh, like really really crazy, sort of like not. I will not call myself to be a fanatic or being very very aggressive or something, but yes, I was very very practicing, very spiritual, and this and that, whatever we read, and I have tried to adopt it a lot.
So Islam was your
But
life.
yeah, it was my life, like everything, first Islam and then something else. Like
Hmm.
if I have to eat something, at that time I was living in Russia, so there is like a lot of liquor, a lot of pork, and a lot of things. Everywhere you go, there is, even if you buy a cake, which is a chocolate cake, it's full of, they have this liquor, or they have it with cognac or something like that. So I was always asking my ex-wife to read it and to check whether it's not there. And she accepted Islam also. And then I stopped drinking. I used to drink before, and I completely stopped drinking for 10 years. And really really, yeah, you're right, it was my life. And I never had a doubt about Islam. And then one day I watched a documentary by Dan Gibson,
Hmm.
and it really shook me. I Because I have been to Mecca twice, like for pilgrimage, once for Hajj and second time for Umrah. And when I went there, I have observed a lot of things, but when you go there, you are so spiritually, going crazy, and you are, so, high in your spirits, and you don't understand those things. But where Dan mentioned in his documentary, the Sacred City, and in his books also, I started remembering things, and it was very true. Like when he talks about all these corners which are, or the Rukn Yamani is not in the direction of Yemen. Rukn, what is that? There's one which is Rukn Sham or something like that. This is not going on the on the side of Syria. And then the measurements of the Kaaba is different, and then there is no plantation there. There is no grass, and and I have seen all that, and with my own eyes, there is nothing. And Hira is very far. I have been to Hira in Mecca, which is very far from Kaaba, and actually it should be on the as per the hadiths and all, it should be closer to it, very very close. And then there should be it should be what you call it, how we call it, a place which is surrounded by mountains, as per the hadith. What is the word? I just slipped from my mind. It just slipped.
Like a valley?
Yeah, valley. So what we heard in books and what I read is that it was a valley. But when you go to Mecca, mountains are very far. They are not close to Kaaba, and it's not a valley.
Yeah.
And then there is you read in books of hadith and all that, there are a lot of trees, and Muhammad used to take this goats for grazing and sheep. Where? Because I couldn't see a leaf there.
Yeah.
There's nothing grows there. It's like fully rocky place.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So the way you describe it, I just want to step back a little bit. Your entire life up to the age of 43, you were a Muslim. In some parts of your life, you were more religious. Some parts you were less religious. Like you said, at one point you were drinking alcohol. Is that because you were living in a non-Muslim country and it was surrounded by it? Or what happened there? Like, what caused you to? Did you lose a little bit of your faith? Did you have doubts, or was it just that you indulged in some sinful activities, knowing that this is haram, and you felt guilty about it, but you still indulged in it because of the weakness of your, whatever, iman or whatever? What was that happened there?
It's actually, everybody thinks that when I went to a non-Muslim country, I started drinking, but actually, when I was in a non-Muslim country, I didn't drink.
Yeah, was it Johnny Walker?
No, it was more of vodka and all that.
Okay.
But I was drinking in Dubai, which is a Muslim country, and I was not a very I was very I believed in God, and religion was the true thing, Islam. But I was not practicing at that time, because there was a society in Dubai like that, and I was like, all my friends and all, I used to drink, and like we all used to drink, and it was very normal, going clubbing and drinking and all that. So it was like, but of course you feel guilty all the time.
There's this article about it called "The Look of the Muslim World." It talks about how so many Muslims actually do drink alcohol, and people don't realize that.
I think Muslims drink more alcohol than anybody else in the world. And the way we like as an ex-Muslim, I'm saying, when we were Muslims, how much we used to drink, I think non-Muslims cannot imagine. We used to drink a lot.
Yeah.
And and then like it is also when I went to Russia, and everybody thought, all my friends in Dubai thought that I'm going to Russia because I want to drink a lot. But then. But then I went to Russia, and it was like sort of a like my ex-wife wanted to accept Islam, and I was explaining her, and she finally got convinced, and she said, I want to accept Islam. I said, it's your choice. She said, I have one condition, and if you stop drinking, I will accept Islam. And I said, okay, I will not drink. And
She was
I stopped,
Russian?
and she
So
said,
she's a local from Russia.
yeah. She is Russian,
Oh, okay.
and but she was like, it's a rare thing, like she was not drinking, and she said that my condition of accepting Islam is that you stop drinking. And then I said, okay, let me. I did it for all my life, so let's stop it. So I stopped, and she said, will you not drink a little bit as well, like occasionally on New Year? I said, as per Islam, it's very funny. If you drink a sip or you drink a bottle, you get the same punishment. So when we stop completely. And if we drink a lot. Because if you if you take a sip 40, as per Islamic logic, 40 days your prayer will not be accepted. Okay. And if you drink a bottle, still you will get this 40 days punishment. So why not to drink a bottle and then you'll be satisfied?
That's funny.
So why don't you keep yourself satisfied that you did something and you are punished for that? So this is the logic which I found. So I completely stopped and started praying. And from there, it was a big change, like the spiritual journey of mine of 10 years without drinking, without anything, without, like it's really, really strict. And I was, all the time.
So you were in your 30s then at this time?
Yes, I was 35.
Oh, wow. Around my age, yeah.
Yeah, so I was 35, and then I started. That was I read Quran from some from here or there, but I have never gone through it completely. So at that time, I started reading Quran, and that was the time when I really worked. And I had a Quran in my phone, and there is an app where there is different translations. First I read the translation, and then I went into tafsir completely, and I read Madudi, and then I read one or two others, and.
And how about the dawah? Sorry, go ahead.
What?
I was going to ask you, what about your dawah that you did? Where was that, or how was that?
That was like I was doing some presentations like in Russia, because I was teaching and English, and then sometimes we used to have this presentation thing. Like I was teaching presentations, and usually I thought it's a good way of spreading the word. And so I used to. All the students used to make a presentation, and then I used to make a presentation, and it was usually about Quran and science. And I had this book, and from there I got some information where there were like miracles about the atomic number of iron, and iron coming from space, and this and that. It's so funny that we look at all these miracles, for example, and there are so many problems which are scientifically very simple things which are wrong. we just ignore them. And now when I look at them, I this Tom and Jerry cartoons, and there is like when Tom is like fooled and then his face become look like a donkey. I felt the same sometimes when I remember all that. When I used to talk about all this very complicated scientific discoveries in Quran. And I was like not aware of those very silly mistakes, which is like about being the earth being round. Like for example, why we have this Qibla direction? Because Earth is not round as per Islam. Because otherwise, if it's round, wherever you stand and wherever you face, if it's a round place, Earth was round, you don't need a specific direction.
Yeah, well, there's two ways you can face it technically. If it, but like you said, if you're on a flat plane, like on a globe, your Qibla is into space, really, right? So it has to adjust and curve around.
Curve and go. But still, wherever you face it, it should be Qibla, because it's a if we believe that it's a circle. But
there's a more straightforward way you can point, which would, like if you had a curve. If the line, it's like a satellite or something, I guess. But you're right. It fits that the Qibla concept makes more sense on a flat Earth.
Yeah, That is why it is there, because they believe that the earth was flat, and that's why they are so specific. You have to turn like this, and you have to face this side, and if it moves, and we all believed, because from childhood we thought that all the mosques in the world, they are facing Qibla, and this have really shocked me when I read when I have seen this Dan's work. And then, of course, he's challenging, and you can check it yourself. And all this, early 100-year mosques, they are all pointing at Petra, which is and Petra is so perfectly matching with all this old, whatever which is mentioned in hadiths, which is nothing, is because the temples of Dushara and Lat and Manat and all these, they're all there. And archaeologically, Mecca has nothing. It's when they were doing so much of digging and all that. If it was an ancient city, as Muslims claim, there will be so much of you can find if you dig any old city like Syria, any city in Syria or in Jordan, all these ancient or maybe Israel, for example, or Palestinian areas. They're all ancient areas. So if you dig them, and there was a lot of digging going on because they have constructed the whole Mecca new, and they didn't find anything. No traces of any old city, old buildings, old anything. Nothing is there.
But so it means also they don't want to allow people to research that, right? The Saudi government, right?
Yeah, they have a lot of restrictions, but I think I will again mention Dan, that he was there and he spoke to the archaeologists, and they told him, no, we didn't find anything. The Arab, because they were scared also, but they told him that he should not mention their names. But the archaeologists from Saudi Arabia, they said we didn't find anything when we digged. And like if you go to any ancient city. I live in a ancient city which is like 5,000-6,000 years old, and if whenever there is a construction, they dig something, there is something, they find a some house or a wall digged under the underground, or after some digging, they found some things, they found coins, they find things, but in Mecca there is nothing.
Yeah,
you cannot find.
I'm just sharing the Quranic geography book. There's actually, this book is quite a big book. Like you said, there's a documentary as well.
Yeah.
But it has all of the research. It has pictures. If anyone's interested in going into more detail, exactly what brother here is saying about the direction of the Qibla, and Muslims do have some sort of explanations for this. They say, well, the Qibla wasn't that the math wasn't accurate. Or something. They came up with some excuses why it's facing the wrong direction. But this is a great book, and I actually read this book as well. And there's also the Sacred City documentary if someone doesn't want to go to the whole book. But I just wanted to reference that. So this was actually for you a game changer, was it?
Yeah, big game changer, because I thought it was, I thought that if this is, it is like, when a 5 years old or 6 year old Christian kid is told that Santa is not real. And, they get really upset. So it was my Santa not real. I was really shocked. I thought, if this is not true, which is like the physical reality, and how much virtual we believe. Like, for example, if Mecca is not the city and where he was born, and, this is not the starting of Islam from here, if it's Petra and all this Qiblas are wrong, and this is, and then, then there was it was very difficult. It was 2 years I did a research. I started having my, I was really tired, and I thought I'm going to lose my eyesight, because I was spending 20 hours per day listening to speeches, reading about it, doing my research. And, I was really going, because, it was such a big shock. And especially at the time when I was a real solid believer, and I was really, really strong. And then at that time, if your faith is shaken like this, you really, you're struggling not to find the faults. You are actually struggling to find some way so you can cling back to it. Yeah, because you're so shocked. You don't want it to be a lie. You want it to, you have to find some reason to go back. And then, the first thing was like all these rituals. I came to know that they're all not true. Like I found this Zoroastrian, things where all this, miracles were taken, like flying horse and this and that. And then I found
the bridge, the Shivanat bridge.
Yeah,
as well.
The bridge, and
yeah,
and then their timing of prayer, which is exactly like Muslims, the 5 times. They do wuzu. They cover their head with the same caps. So I realized that it's all Zoroastrian. And then the second thing, and I wanted it to be true, but more I was digging in, more I was going critical. It was turning out to be a Pandora's box, and everything was coming out like, all this worms, and I was not able to control it. More I try to find truth, I find more lies. Then I came across about hadiths to be 250 years old. They started writing, and they are 9 generations past, in 250 years. And then, most of us will not know our grandfather's name 4 generations back or 5 generations back, 9 generations back. And they are, and the writers are all Persians. That was again a big shock for me. None of the, the writers or but okay, the apologists, they say that there is one who was an Arab, and everybody has, like, I think Imam Shafi'i was an Arab, and they took everything from him. But we don't have his real books. We have only copied books or something like that. I think it is Imam Shafi or somebody else, or Tibri or somebody who is an Arab. But most of them, all this Siha Sitta Imams, are all Persians. And I feel that they have taken a revenge, because Arabs were like Mongols to Muslims. They were like really crazy and like really barbaric people. And Persian Empire or Persian people, they were the Romans of Asia. They were Greek of Asia. They were really, really, really sophisticated people. And then when these Badus have attacked them and conquered them and forced them to leave their religion, and they have made that this Zoroastrianism was banned to practice in Iran just 15-20 years back. They gave them permission they can do it now.
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, they have banned it. Why they have banned it? Because if they all accepted Islam as per the Islamic, this thing that as per what we read in our history books, in the Muslim history books, because they are real history books and then there are Muslim history books. So Muslim history books always say that, oh, Muslims were so nice and all Iranians were become so fascinated by religion. I cannot believe this, because I met a lot of Iranians who hate Arabs. They say that they are barbarians. They were crazy. They destroyed our, such an empire we had, and they destroyed us and all that. So they were forced to accept Islam. So when they forced them, so they are very cunning, So what they did, they have added all their, Zoroastrianism into Islam. So that's why you see everything is the same.
Uh-huh.
And I always say that Iranians, Persians were not into earning money from, the shrines and all that. They have learned this from Arabs. Mm-hmm. They were a very, Arabs always, they always had this Kaaba thing there before Islam also. And they have, they earned money from there always. Mm-hmm. And, Iranians got influenced by them. They created all these, this shrines and this Imam or that Imam shrine and this place. So they have Karbala, So they have also created, and now they are earning a lot of money through this, But Iranians were not like that before. They are they are a different kind of mentality. But Arabs, they always made, especially these Meccans, mm-hmm. and people from Saudi Arabia, they were always making money from these pilgrimages and all that. This is their invention, mm-hmm. which has, which has come into all. If you go to India and Pakistan and Bangladesh, everywhere, there are shrines and there's like doors of heaven where you can, there's a door of heaven in Pakistan.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there is a shrine of a saint.
Pir, yeah.
Pir, yeah, saint. Yeah. And if you go through that door, you will go to heaven. So when there is a special day, there are thousands of people go there and they try to cross that door from this, and then this saint's miracle was that he will go into you will go into heaven. So there is so much of
he'll do shifa for them or something.
Yeah. He will directly send them to Jannah. If like they will directly go to heaven if they go through this door. So there is a lot of stupidity which is believed here, but it is just the second part of this. All this mythology and story. But if we look at the first one also, like for example, all this story about Adam and Eve, it actually never, I couldn't swallow this story when I was a Muslim as well.
So before we get to that, I just want to add that I think the saints, worshipping saints and creating like shrines is something that you probably find across the world. Probably, even not necessarily with like saints of dead people, but like definitely like shrines of gods, different gods and goddesses. I know that in different countries, I think in China, they have little shrines that they use in order to where they did the rice. They were like fertilizing the rice, and they all joined together under common gods, and that's how they kind of united under a common ideology. So this idea, I think, of humans using money using religion to make money is probably universal.
Yeah, it is, because I believe religion is basically a like a business enterprise. Okay, and first time the religion has started because of fear. That we all know that like people used to get scared and they couldn't understand. And one scientist, I was listening to his lecture, he said it is the product of a lazy mind. Like when people didn't want to think what is the reason of anything behind something, they started saying, oh, it's from God. It's from God. It's from some, and then what is God? Then they created one. So this is always a thing in ancient times and pagan times and all that. And then came the monotheist religions, and then they came with the same things, like the God, and make him happy, and sacrifice, human sacrifice, and then animal sacrifice and all that. So all these things were there. But first thing when it happened was more of a kind of fear thing, like the fear of thunder, call it Thor. Fear of this one, call him this. So whatever fear you have a God, which you make happy. Otherwise, there will be a problem, right?
Yeah.
So this thing has started in the beginning, but later
Islam
on,
is better, because Islam, you worship the God of thunder, not thunder itself.
No, then you God of everything, not thunder. You have God of, like, he is one for everything. Yeah. So that is like they just make it more focus on only one God. So but it's in Judaism it's the same as well, and Christianity, basically Trinity is one, but it's like we understand that is more confusing because everybody gets very confused when we talk about Trinity. But some people it makes sense and they say it's only one. So let's say it's monotheist as well. So I have a like a theory about this, which is like I did some research on it, but I'm still in a research going on this. I think all these prophets, they were all really revolutionist type of people. Like for example, like revolutionists, like a Che Guevara type people. They were very, very anti-society because it was not fair. Rich people were, doing this, and then all these rituals were there, which was not very, which were crazy. Like if we take the example of Buddha, first of all, he was like anti-society, anti-religion, all this caste system he was against. He left. He left his kingdom, his house, and everything, and went into to understand himself and God and all that, and like actually to himself, and he was not a God worshipper, and it's very clear in his books as well.
Yeah.
And his philosophy is not about God. There is no God in this one.
It's
But
atheistic
what?
religion, right?
Yeah, he was more like an agnostic, because somebody asked him about God, and he said, "I don't know whether it's there." And he said, "Do you think it's not there?" He said, "I never said that he's not there, but I don't know." So he
Yeah.
was more of a. I think he was more of a first agnostic person.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, look into your, like, be, focus on yourself, and you will understand everything.
Mhm.
So Buddha was against religion.
Against God, you mean,
completely,
or against religion?
yeah, completely against religion. He stopped everything. He told people this, all this praying and all, it's all crazy. All this, mullahs of your time are making you fools, whether they were called mullahs or pandits or pastors, they're the same thing. So he stopped everything, and then these people lost all the business. And at that time, Buddha became so popular because he was like he was such a powerful revolutionist that the whole Asia, which was really against all this, this pandits who were, or Brahmins who were really ruling them, and they were. It's a society with a caste system where this untouchables and Shudras were living in a miserable condition.
Mm-hmm.
They all left Hinduism and they became Buddhist.
Mm-hmm.
And all this, these guys were really, worried what to do now, because they lost all their business. So what happens as soon as Buddha died? What they did, all these, this religious elite of Hinduism, maybe, they became Buddhist because there was the bigger business opportunity, and then they crafted a religion around Buddha, and made Buddha like a god. And then the same thing started again. It became a new religion. All these rituals have started.
Oh, yes.
All this bowing down, because I have recently been to Sri Lanka, and I have seen how they are praying, they are bowing down and putting their head on the ground and burning candles and fire, and all these rituals which we find in other religions in some other way, they were there as well.
Do you think that this is fundamental to humanity in a sense? Not fundamental, but like intrinsic. Do you think that like why do we keep finding that human beings keep doing these things? I mean, all over the world, right?
It is. I think it's I think the religious elite, it is a big business for them. And as soon as they find somebody who is against them, later on when he dies, they just craft the new religion. And this is the Buddha's example. This is the first one I always give. The second one is Christ also. If we know that he was in the, he was born a Jew, and then these rabbis were very strict, and they were making everybody, suffer, and they were very, strict religion and all that. And he came and he again stopped everything, and he said, no, this is not required, and we'll not do anything. And later on, as soon as he died, and this Paul, who was again, a religious elite from the Jews, said, he came to me in my dream, and he said, now you will take care of Christianity. And actually, the Christianity, all these things about Son of God and all these, mythology, it is created by Paul. Actually, the modern Christianity which we have is all from Paul, not from, if Jesus, like as per the mythology, comes back, he will be shocked because he didn't know anything about religion, which is created on his name.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a little bit more complicated than that. But because, for example, Paul didn't benefit from, the disciples of Jesus were actually persecuted and killed, which is an argument that Christians themselves make. Why would they die for the faith if they didn't see Jesus resurrected? But you do make a good point that Bud Ehrman has talked about this, how when the one they thought was a Messiah died, now they're like, well, the Messiah is supposed to become the king of the Jews, and he's supposed to save us all and establish the house of David, and now he's dead, and he was crucified like a criminal. So what do we do? And then he came up with this new, as you call it, mythology or religious belief system. But nevertheless, you do make a good point that the Roman emperor, Roman emperor,
Roman emperor.
He used Christianity to bring together all. He saw the usefulness in having a common ideology, of having a centralized dogma that could unite his empire more than paganism, right? So
yes.
that's what he did. And so I do agree with you on that point. I do think that with Christianity, it's a little bit more, it's not, the people that studied it, not necessarily the ones who benefited from it, but someone came along at one point, the emperor found benefit. And of course, with Islam, you know, the topic of a discussion today, the rulers of Islam, the Caliphs, I mean, Islam or any religion in general is actually like, it's adaptive because it builds, it's an empire builder, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's like a generator, power generator. You know, like you can really, become really powerful. Like for example, Arabs were all scattered, you know, and they were like they were not considered humans as well. You know, like Jews and Romans and Persians, they thought that they were like, you know, like barbarians, and they were not considered. They were just ignoring them. They didn't even, you know, like consider them to, you know, be humans or something like that at that time, you know, 1500 years ago. And those people were really, you know, if you look at the Roman Empire or you look at the Persian Empire, you know, like those people were very sophisticated, and they were talking about philosophy, and they were talking about all this. And, you know, okay, I don't say that they were completely Jahiliya, they say that, but they were actually, but they were not very sophisticated people. They were Badus, or they were like living in desert, and they were different. So they were not considered to be very well educated or like this. That's why they didn't had anybody to write a book till 250 years later. All these Persians have written all these books for them. Because they couldn't write, like they were not interested to write if they could write as well.
What are the examples of Persians? We're talking about like Imam Bukhari was
Imam Bukhari, right? Imam Muslim. Imam Bukhari is from Bukhara. It's from his name. Imam Muslim is from Khurasan. Imam which one is there? Other one. Imam Tirmizi is from Tirmiz. The Sihasita Imams I'm talking about. Imam Tirmizi and the six, I forgot their name. Bukhari, Muslim, and Tirmizi, and Nisai. He was from Ibn Majah in Nisapur. Nisapur is a place in Iran still, and they are all from Persia, Persian Empire. None of them is Arab, you know. So all the collectors, all the, you know, because this is the main. All this Sharia and everything is based on hadith only, because you cannot have Sharia just like that coming from the sky, because Sharia is not there in Quran as well.
Even.
Not even the Sirah is actually coming from them. So okay. The last thing which I want to say, after Jesus, when we come to Muhammad also, there is some indication that when he came, like the theory which I'm working on is like. About the revolutionists, I feel that he was also against all these rituals and practices, because he came, he stopped all this pagan worship and Mecca, all this. Maybe because later on they have changed it, but maybe he stopped all this tawaf also and all these idols, and he said no worshipping, nothing, and stopped all this. But as soon as he died, also again we know that Sufyan and all that, they were all against. What you call it, they have lost all the business. So they in 30 years the same family took over, and like I'm talking about Muawiyah and these guys, and they took over, and they started everything back again, all this, because all these rituals which we have are actually pre-Islamic rituals, which are like this circling Kaaba, or shaving your head, dressing up, like when Hindus are going to yatra, they also wear exactly the same two cloths, covering yourself with two cloths, and Hindus also do it, and Muslims also do it. They also, all these pagans, they also used to do this animal sacrifice. Muslims also do sacrifice. So they are all the same rituals which he stopped as a revolutionist. I'm not talking about prophet. There was no prophet, and nobody's from God. So these revolutionists, when they die, later on the religion is crafted around them, and same rituals come back again. And this is evolution of religion. This is how it happens, one after another, because all the same rituals, they are very, very similar when you look at them. They are very similar things in all religions. It means that they are all coming from human intellect. There is no other reason for that. And then all this stories like the funniest one is Noah's Ark. How you can have around millions of animals on a wooden boat which is going into the water, and like it's not breaking, it's not leaking, it's not, oh, it's a miracle. But you need to look at the how you can get all these animals in. If they just defecate and so much of dung, you can die with methane gas only. So there'll be so much of methane there in this closed boat, and nobody's looking at it. And we never thought about it. We just believed it.
Yeah.
And then all these religions, like all these three religions, monotheist religion, Judaism, or Islam, and Christianity, incest is the worst sin. Okay. But if we believe their mythology of starting of or if you don't believe in, you don't believe in evolution, and you believe in their creationism from Adam and Eve, it all started with incest.
Yeah.
They were all screwing their sisters, man. Come on, this is like so insane. And I always thought, if it was such a horrible thing to screw your sister, why God has started the whole bloody human race doing this, and then it has become such a grievous sin. You cannot even think about it. But if you look at it, we are all bastards. My God. according to the religious mythology, because they were all screwing their sisters, because there was nobody, and not only once, twice. How it is twice? Because first it was from Adam. Okay, his children, they were all brothers and sisters who got married and had children. And then when Noah destroyed everything, only his family was left. Then again, they started marrying sisters. And the second time again, incest has started the world. Because everybody else was killed. Everybody was killed except his family.
So I want to add, I want to share something. There's a really good post out there that says the scientific evidence shows that Adam and Eve could not have existed, at least the way they're portrayed in the Bible or Quran. Genetic data shows no evidence of any human bottleneck as small as two people. There's simply too many different kinds of genes around for that to be true. There may have been a couple of bottlenecks in the history of a species, but the smallest one involving recent colonization is about 10 to 15,000 individuals. That's as small as the human race ever got, as far as we know, is 10,000 to 15,000, not two people, mom and dad.
Yeah, impossible.
Of all humanity, right?
Yeah.
And there's evidence for this in genetics, like the mitochondrial DNA can be used to trace back, what do you call it? The genetic Adam and genetic Eve. So we can actually find out that what common ancestors we all have. But the genetic Adam and genetic Eve never met. So this is getting a little bit complicated, but the fact is that this it's just not possible based on, and if it is possible, then why would God leave us this trail, this genetic trail that leads back to 10,000 to 15,000 people? Like, why would he make it look like Adam and Eve is not true? Why would he want to deceive us in that way, right?
Yeah. It is not possible. It's impossible to
just impossible
to believe that.
Exactly. There would be so many genetic defects, right? Because we've seen what happens from, especially in Pakistan, cousin marriages is a big problem over there.
Yeah. It is very common, and it's not in Pakistan. It's all over the Muslim world. Yeah. Because we Muslims they think that, and they in Islam, it's one of the things is that even when science tells you that it's bad, then Muslims get very offended and say that since science is saying wrong and Islam is saying it's correct, we will do it. This is again a very big, and many educated people also. Okay, and many doctors, and we have the finest example is Dr. Zakir Naik, who is he's the funniest person on earth. He can come up with so, and I don't know how he became a doctor. because he makes so many blunders all over the place with about religion and about science and about medical science and all that, and he comes up with his own medical science, and he doesn't believe in evolution and all. So he believes in all this Adam and Eve stories and all. So this, it's not logical also to have two people, and and in 6,000 years the population reaches more than 7 billion. It is impossible. You cannot. I think it is not logically possible. Scientifically is one thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to thought about that either.
Yeah, if she was like, if poor Eve was giving birth every second a child, then it is possible throughout of her age, which was 1,000 or maybe more than 1,000 years. Every second.
It's kind of like the number of hadith that Imam Bukhari supposedly memorized. Sharif Gavas calculated exactly memorizing one every second or something in order to memorize like 600,000 that he supposedly had, right? Memorized.
Yeah. No, but like the funniest thing was that it was like a student of mine. She's Jordanian and she's atheist, and when I was like when I was a Muslim and we were discussing about Islam, and she said, the funniest thing is that if you look at all the volume of hadiths which are connected to the Prophet, and then Bukhari says there were 600,000, and I just took 60,000 out of that.
6,000.
And if you calculate 6,000, and it's 6,000 out of 60,000 or 600,000. I don't know what.
I believe, yeah.
Yeah, 600,000. If you take that 600,000, and others also have disregarded a lot of them, so the amount of hadiths which is even existing now, which is like the Sahih ones also, they are so many that a person cannot speak for 20 years. If he he will speak this much.
So I found the numbers. I was a little bit off. So his complete collection had over 600,000. He supposedly memorized 100,000 of those, and 200,000 less authentic ones. And then he limited his Sahih to only 2,000 to 3,000. So now, the funny thing is, we don't even have an exact number. Was it 2,200? It says 2,200 to 2,600. Because we don't have the collection, right? It was filled in by his students, as Mufti Abu Hurairah has spoken about, and it has all sorts of hilarious stories in there, like monkeys stoning each other.
And kill the black dogs and all this, and they are Satan or satanic or whatever, like it's all this. And one place, and there is no logic. For example, dog is very dirty. You should not, if he licks something, it gets very
6 times or something, right?
You have to wash it, and you cannot keep them in the house because their saliva is very dirty and it has a lot of germ. And they talk so much, and then there is a hadith comes, because some hunters went to him and told him, how are we going to hunt now? And they said, but there is an exception. If it is a dog which is trained to hunt, then his saliva becomes so pure that if he grabs the the bird in his mouth and brings it to you, it's okay. So you can eat from his mouth, but you cannot keep him in the house. So this is really, really insane. That's why religion is.
It's a religion that was being made up on the spot, right? Like Muhammad said in another hadith that I would have forbidden you guys from doing doggy style or something, and then I found out that the Romans do it. From intercourse during breastfeeding, right? And then I found out the Romans do it, so it's fine. So you guys can do it. I was gonna imagine if he didn't find that out, then all the Muslim men for 2 years while the wife is breastfeeding wouldn't be able to speak with us. Imagine what a world we live in based on education and lack of education changes the world for billions of people all over the world.
It becomes really funny. There are a lot of examples like that. Where there is no logic about something, and then you believe. Like for example, so many. As per the, there were 100,000 Sahabas, as per the mythology. And none of them remembered anything except Abu Hurairah. everything he remembered only. Wherever you see a hadith, it is from Abu Hurairah and from Aisha. And then you find very little, hadith from Abu Bakr or Umar or Usman or Ali compared to Abu Hurairah. He was just like, what he was like.
Too busy getting booty. So the interesting thing is this Abu Hurairah, Shias criticize this too, which is interesting because Shias don't like Bukhari, right? And they say Abu Hurairah was a liar, and they say that Bukhari and Muslim were,
all fabricated in the time of
and Omar and the promoting Aisha. So this is big conspiracy. I never really looked into that angle because it's not reliable anyways. So whatever the case, you're believing blindly in Imam Bukhari at the end of the day, and and even then, like every single hadith where it says Aisha said that this person said that person said that Muhammad said, you're blindly trusting that nobody in that line made a mistake, is lying. All it takes is one person to lie, and the entire thing is like wasted, right?
Because they say that these people are, they checked about them, and they, and this dream plays a lot of role in that. Imam Bukhari got an hadith and then seen in a dream that it's true, and then he, wrote it, and then second day he's seen a dream, no, it was not true, wrong dream. Then he gone and cut it. It's really, it's like a joke, but still, when you believe it, and we believed it, right? You believed it, I believed it, and when you are in the belief system, we always, and I was very apologetic about it when I used to have this debates, and sometimes these debates have lasted, because I was on some atheist groups and some Christian groups, and we used to have debates, and sometimes, it will be heated up, and we will continuously, debate for a month, and then it slows down every second month. Somebody, sometimes after some 6 months also, somebody will write a comment, and I will reply them back and all that, because they will tag me into it. So it was going on for a long time, and of course I was apologetic. I understand how and sometimes when I debate someone, a Muslim, and they tell me this, I said, I've gone through this, man. I did all. I was an apologetic myself. I know what you are doing.
Yeah.
And I did all this myself, and I said, oh, it was like for example, the miracles, when we come into that, like this cutting of the moon, and at that time the only source of light in the night was moon. There was no street lights, there was nothing, and the moon was cut into two pieces, got separated. There were at least 3 billion people at that time also there, at least, I think, maybe, and nobody has seen it. And then they found one guy, that's king in Kerala. My God. And he, during the Karwa Chauth, has seen, this, from where they got this king from, Kerala found, Keralites are really, like maybe he was watching a movie, because, this Tamil movies are really funny, so he could be watching or maybe reading a book, and he also seen a dream, because if you watch all these Tamil movies, Indian Bollywood movies, or not Bollywood, they call it them Tollywood and Collywood, Kerala movies and Tamil movies, they are full of all this moon cutting and heart flying and all this. So they are, it is possible that maybe it was a forefather of this Raja in Kerala, was a forefather of one of the directors who make all these movies, and then he has seen this moon cut into two pieces, and they have him there.
You gotta interesting thing is you gotta imagine, like, you have all of these people saying, oh, you're the prophet of God, well, I want some proof, right? And then, like, you have to be quite ballsy, say, oh, even if you give them a sign, they'll never believe. And then you just make up a sign. It's like, I took the moon, that's the sign. Like, what moon's that? You didn't see? I took the moon. Oh, I was sleeping. It was cloudy. And then the next question is, I went to Jerusalem overnight, and then I went up to the up to the seven heavens, right? And like, they were all wondering, like, you went to the seven heavens and overnight you're crazy. And then, but people believed Muhammad. He was such an honest, truthful person. He was honest. Maybe he was an honest, truthful person. But have any of you ever heard of Ponzi's? That's exactly what Ponzi's do. They give you a little bit of, you know, like honesty up front,
Mm-hmm.
give them a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of money, they'll make
Mm-hmm.
money. You give them a little
Mm-hmm.
bit more money, they invest it,
Mm-hmm.
they make you more money. Then
Mm-hmm.
give them all your money.
Your money, and then they
Yeah,
disappear.
they're gone.
Yeah, yeah,
That's I mean,
yeah,
that's the psychology of scam artists. And maybe he wasn't a scam artist, like you said. Maybe it was genuine in the beginning, and that's
yeah.
what I think too. I think it was genuine in the beginning.
Genuine revolutionist, in my opinion. They would say, see, for me, like, let's come to the big guy now, God. So we spoke about all the revolutionists and prophets, and let's come to the God. What I believe is, and I've spoken to, um, I always forget his name. There's a physicist who always gives. He's an atheist. Cross.
Oh, Lawrence Cross.
Lawrence Cross.
Yeah.
And I even wrote a message to him, and he replied me and all that. What I believe is, God is a conscious energy, in my opinion. I don't believe in religious God.
Okay. So you're not
But
atheist.
I'm not atheist.
You're
I
deist.
am, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, anti-theist. And
Anti-theist and deist can be both true, because deist is
yeah, okay.
God. Anti-theist is more related to your activism and your belief
Mm,
or religion in general, right?
yeah, yeah. So what I think is, God is the conscious energy, and it has converted into the whole universe. And he is not sending any books or any prophets. He is letting, because, and including us, we are the same energy as well. So we are the conscious energy. So basically, we are all gods, part of God. And then, like, he gave us all the intellect to understand. So according to the time, or how it passes, and how we develop our, evolution of our mind is happening, we are coming up with, better and better ideas about God. Let's say we started with, worshipping thunder and monkey gods and flying gods, and you know uh, genitals in India. They worship penis and this and that, a vagina. In some place I've seen a vagina mandir as well. So they worship all that, and then we develop, and we come to three gods, and then we come to one. And it is a evolutionary process, and everybody, according to their intellect and this voice which is from inside, which is their own voice, thinking that it is coming from some god, and then they start developing this philosophy about God and about religion and about things. So this is what I think it is happening. And God is not interacting. We are actually, the whole universe is God, or multiverse, or whatever. But it's the energy. And when I spoke to Lawrence Cross, and I told him that this is what I think, and he said there is nothing to be, which because he's a specialist on energy, and he said there is no, I cannot connect consciousness with energy, because energy is not conscious. And of course, I was just this close to becoming an atheist. And then I was watching his interview, and he mentioned about this book, which is another physicist has mentioned, and he said who discovered this dark energy and this Higgs boson, and he said it's a God particle. Okay, and the name of the book is God Particle, and he's written a book on that. So I wrote to Cross. I said, like, you are saying, like, energy is not conscious. What if this black energy, which is which is the base of our energy, which is the visible energy, which is turned into all this universe and solid and liquid and all that. Basically, us and everything is the energy. The base of this energy is this black energy. So this black energy could be the God particle, could be the real God particle. Is it not possible?
And what did he say?
So he didn't reply me that.
Yeah. So someone saying that you're describing Vedanta. Are you familiar with that? The Hindu.
No.
Hindu. Okay.
No, Vedanta as well. And no, I'm not. Yeah, this is from Vedas, right? That everything is pantheism, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Pantheism, isn't it?
Yeah, pantheism, monism. Someone mentioned monism.
Yeah, monism, and this is Wahdatul Wujud Wahdatul Wujud is also the same in Sufism, because they also believe that it was only like there is no other being except one. There is no other, nothing exists except one. There is no existence. There is no. Everything is from one, which is the God, and everything has turned into everything later on. From Him only. There is no, there is no creation and creator. It is, everything is only one. There is no other being except God. And everything which we see around, if we all together, the whole universe and us and all other multiverses and space and all these things, everything is basically part of God.
Yeah, that's definitely one way to look at it. One of my friends, Farhan Qureshi, holds this type of view. I'm more on, obviously I'm atheist, so I don't think that there is any God or consciousness or anything like that. I believe that a consciousness is emergent, that a particular arrangement of matter makes consciousness, and what we experience as color, light, all of that connects back to survival, right? Like our brain is creating a reality in front of our eyes that's not actually the true reality per se, but it's a manufactured reality that, for example, like dogs can hear different things that we can't hear. Bees can see ultraviolet indicators on the flowers. So our reality is actually manufactured in a sense by our brain in order to survive. And so I think once we die, that's just the end of reality as we know it. But yeah, you never know. Like it's at the end of the day, like there's no way to know for sure whether there's something. So do you believe something happens after we die, or what do you think happens when we die? What happens?
I have no idea. There is no, I don't believe in there is some, like we have to stand in front of God and, pay for our sins and go to hell and burn eternity or whatever. I think that if we die, we don't know what is going, because we are like energy, and like we have, create, like we are, like evolution has started, like how this, we have come back, we came out of this nature, and when we die we go back into the nature, and I don't know what happens after that. Maybe we come back again in some other, I don't believe in Avagon also. I don't believe that maybe we come 7 times or 10 times. This is because these things are all, trying to figure out. You look at all these philosophies, a human mind is always trying to figure out what is going to happen. So there could be a possibility that we come back again.
Do you believe in a soul? Do you think there's any such thing as a soul?
I used to. I used to believe in soul, but now I think that after listening to all this, scientists and to their logical arguments. For example, if we have a soul, like that is other than our body, then why when we have a problem with our physical body, like our brain stops working, where actually, because now we know, as per these, like when they have done all these experiments, they know which part is responsible for our memory and which part is responsible. And if that part by any chance get damaged by an accident or by cancer or something, why we lose our memory? Because we are inside, right? We are the soul.
Yeah.
Why when the brain is damaged, why the soul? Yeah.
When the brain is damaged, why the soul? Sorry, finish what you were saying.
Why the brain, when the brain is damaged because of some accident, that part of the brain which is responsible for our memory, if it's get damaged by an accident or by a cancer which is in a brain tumor or something like that, why we lose our memory? Why our soul gets affected? Because our physical brain is damaged.
Yeah. Because
soul is separate from the body. It should come out and say, hey, you're forgetting. It's not like that. The brain is damaged, but I'm telling you it's not like this, and it should remind us. But no, when the brain is damaged at the particular point, which is responsible for a particular function in our body, the same thing doesn't work. So if there is a soul and it is separate than the body, why it is getting affected because the brain is getting damaged.
Yeah, that's a good point. And obviously we've done a lot of studies, and we found that, for example, when people get Alzheimer's or dementia, they forget what the children are. They don't even recognize themselves in the mirror. So if there is a soul, what is it connected to? Because everything that I know about myself is based on my experiences in life. So
spirit.
What would that soul be?
And as per the religion, this is just a like a costume, a shell for this world.
Yeah.
And soul is actually separate from which is the real self of us is soul.
But so you do believe in a soul? That's what you're saying, or you don't believe in a soul?
No, I don't believe in soul anymore. I believe that whatever is there is physical, and it's since it's energy. So if at that old times they wanted to call energy a soul, yes. So in a metaphorically you can call it a soul, but it's basically energy. So I believe that I believe in this energy theory more than the soul theory and all that.
Yeah, I think like what you're saying makes sense, and we're quite aligned on that. Someone's asking in the comments. They said that Buddha was not against the caste system. They said that they think this is not the case, that he was against the caste system.
Where is the if he was not against the caste system, why there is no caste system in Buddhism then? As soon everybody is equal there. There is no Brahmins, there is no Shudras, there is no. He was like, if you read history, he was very upset with this discrimination of humanity. And where there was somebody on top and somebody from the bottom, and then somebody in the middle, or somebody from the feet, and somebody is untouchable. So he was from India, and he got really I think the revolution in his brain started from looking at humans in such a misery.
Yeah,
that's what I read. Maybe he has a different point of view, but what I read about Buddha was he got really frustrated with how the Brahmins were like, or the Aryans who have actually started this Hinduism in India they have how they manipulated and how they were torturing their fellow people around them, and how they were creating them slaves. Like the Shudras was like slaves, and untouchables even couldn't hear the. So why if he was not against the caste system, why there is no caste system in Buddhism? Why they don't have Brahmins or untouchables or Shudras? Why there is nothing there?
Yeah, it's a good question. So back to your story and your reflections on Islam. So like you were saying, you do think that it's possible there's some sort of God, the universe, some sort of pantheism, pandeism sort of thing.
Something.
Which at the end of the day, what you believe and what I believe are actually equivalent in a sense, in that there is no consequence to whether you believe or not. So in terms of how we live our life, we can live our life the same way, and it's really not a point of contention, because I'm okay with that position. I think that position makes sense just as well as atheism makes sense. I think these are two positions that not really. I don't think it's really possible to reconcile really at the end of the day. So the way, whether you believe in God or don't believe, that doesn't matter. What matters is, did God send revelation? And I think sometimes Muslims don't want to acknowledge that there's people like you who believe in God but don't believe in people and don't believe in revelation. That's the key difference, right?
That's the key difference.
The existence of people like you throws a wrench into the wall. Atheism is this and that nonsense, because you believe in God, yet you don't believe in revelation. So you can't just say, "Oh, people can't say to you, oh, you don't want to believe in God." They can't say that.
No,
because you believe in God.
Cannot. So I believe in God.
So the problem then is revelation, which is what we always want to come back to, but they try to weasel out of that and say, "Oh no, you don't want to believe in God," right? But that's not the case. It's not about that.
Yeah, it's and one more thing prior to this question I want to clarify is like we are ex-Muslims, and all our lives we understood the religion, and we deny all religions, not Islam. But when we criticize it just that we criticize more being an ex-Muslim because we know our religion. Like when we were Muslim, we knew more Islam than, we studied Christianity, we studied Hinduism, we studied Judaism. But of course, as an ex-Muslim, we know more about Islam than these other religions. So when we Like, for example, if I share a post which is against Christianity on my Facebook wall, and all these Muslims, friends of mine, they're laughing and they joke. And when I post something which is funny, but as soon as I post something against Islam, they get very angry, and some of them are not talking to me even, and they get very upset. So I just want to, clarify this thing also. Like, when you are from a religion, you have more knowledge and more, you have gone through it, and you know what is the inside out. And as once you said, I really loved it, and you said that most of the ex-Muslims know Islam more than the Muslims, and that's very true, because you can know more about, when you start digging into it and you do research, then only you find out this. But a normal Muslim who goes for a prayer, and for him, God is just a super being.
I don't know if I said that, because I don't know if I would agree with that, because I think there's a conception that many ex-Muslims think they know more about Islam, and I do think that you will find among ex-Muslims that you'd find like the same representation of ex-Muslims that you would find among Muslims. So you'll find scholarly ex-Muslim, you'll find people that never prayed, fasted. They don't even know they don't even know how to pray. I have ex-Muslims that don't know how to pray because they never prayed, but they left Islam. So does that mean that them leaving Islam is any less valid than someone like me leaving Islam, or someone like you leaving Islam? No, not at all, because honestly speaking, you don't need to spend your entire life, you don't need to get a PhD, you don't need to learn Arabic to know that. Sorry, you don't need a PhD in Greek in order to know that the Bible is false. You don't need to have a PhD in Sanskrit to know Hinduism is false, and you don't need a PhD in Arabic to know the Quran is false. Right? But you I do think that you do have a point that like ex-Muslims may have studied Islam a little bit more, maybe some of them, but it's not true across the board, because again, and you'll find Muslims will love to pick on ex-Muslims that don't know what they're talking about, because you find people like that. There's ex-Muslims that don't know what they're talking about, that make basic philosophical blunders, and then you'll get all the Muslims like jumping on that. Like there was this one guy, he has a channel called Smile to Jannah. Okay. And he has a video of like the dumbest ex-Muslim you can find. I swear to God, it was I've never seen, and I'm like, it was so stupid. The guy was on TV protesting something. He looked like such an idiot, and that's what they made a video about. They make a video about the dumbest guy that doesn't know anything, but they won't talk to me. Like if I want to talk to them, it's like, Ara, we don't want to talk to you. They have this podcast called Boys in the Cave, and I'm like, hey, you guys want to talk to us, ex-Muslims? You're talking about us. Why don't you talk to us? No, we don't want to talk to you. But
they're scared, because because all this apologetics, they have this problem. I listen to you. I listen to Apostate Prophet a lot. He makes sense, but I don't understand when he's an atheist. Then he is sometimes sitting with David, because in my opinion, and he's doing a lot of programs with David. David, the Christian guy. David Wood is not atheist, right? And he's not anti-religion. He's a Christian, but he is very biased about Islam. But when it comes to Christianity, he always backs it. So I don't understand what is the stand of Apostate Prophet, because if he is an atheist, why should he sit with a Christian who is like just picking on only one religion and saying Christianity and Jesus and all these funny things which he picks on Islam, believes about Jesus, and then Apostate Prophet is sitting with this is like I don't understand why he's doing that. I think Aaron Raw, he is an atheist. He picks on, like, he's against Christianity, so that makes sense. But when you sit with a religious person who believes in one religion and all this mythology which is true, then how you can pick on one religion, because they all have the same funny stories, and all these stories have come from there is a book, I forgot the name. It is from Jews, and it's a book like
Talmud?
I think Talmud, yes, which is in Judaism considered to be the funny stories, and like all this fantasy, scientific, not scientific, scientific, what you call it, fantasies. Okay. So, the scientific is totally against scientific. So these scientific fantasies were written in Talmud, and then Christians have copied it from there, and then Muslims have copied it from there. So these fantasy stories are basically, this Noah's flood and Adam and Eve, and this flying, this snake and Saturn. I've read a post. It was so funny. He said, God has to talk to human. He has to send books, and then hundreds and thousands of prophets. And the Saturn, when he wants to talk to humans, he just has to whisper in his ears. So it is a better communication system which Saturn has compared to God.
Yeah, that was Hassan Radwan, right? Who said that?
I don't know who said it, but I just read it. It is so funny that God has to go through so much, and still, and then he has to take care of his books, that nobody can change it, and nobody should burn it, and now somebody burned, and nobody could, he couldn't protect. And then there is a guy. You've seen the recent one when somebody burned this Quran recently.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and God's supposed to take care of it,
So I wanted to talk about. So apostate prophet, I disagree with him on that. I have been on David Wood's channel too, and I think that apostate prophet has just made a decision that he wants to specifically focus on Islam, and sometimes I do feel like when I get into talking about Christianity, I sometimes misspeak, and it's happened, and I think even Hinduism is even tougher to speak about because I know so little about it, and so. The thing I disagreed with Apostate Prophet was he specifically said, he has praised Christianity. And that's where I think, I disagree with him. And he had a discussion with Almin Nawabi, and he was on secular jihadists, and they challenged him on this. And they called him out, and they said, well, this doesn't make sense. So I think we have a disagreement in that sense. But yeah, that's his choice, I guess, how he wants to do it.
It's totally his choice. But I'm just saying, like, logically, if you look at it, because Christianity and Islam believe in the same stories, same, this mythology and all these funny stories. Many of them are similar. So then when you pick on one and praise the other one, where do you stand? Because they are, okay, you can say that now Christianity is less aggressive than Islam, but previously it was. It was more aggressive. They were burning people who were like, for example, who were apostate or who were not agreeing, or even if saying that the earth is not flat, they were burning them. But they burned Bruno alive when he said something about some theory about.
Put him in jail. You mean didn't they put him in jail?
No, they burned. They burned him alive.
Oh, okay.
The Italian scientist, this old one. So they burned him alive. Who talked about this? I think he spoke about of multiverse something.
You're talking about the geocentric versus the heliocentric model, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
right?
Yeah. The Italian.
Yeah.
And they burnt him alive. The Pope has ordered to burn him alive because he disagreed, and he came up with a new philosophy or new idea about Earth or something like that. So this was really brutal and really crazy Christianity in their time because I always say you take a minority of when religion is in a minority, and as soon as you make it a majority, it becomes very evil. And the best example is in India and Pakistan. In India, where the Hindus are in majority, the aggressive ones, when they are in majority, they can make Muslims' life hell. And if you look, and I have many friends who are Hindus in Pakistan, and they are the most, and if you look at the suffering Muslims in India, they are very polite and very nice, and they are suffering and all that. But when you come to Pakistan, same Hindus which are very aggressive in India, since they are a minority in Pakistan, they are so polite and so kind, and so it's the same thing. Muslims in Mecca and Medina, when they were in Mecca, they were so polite and humble, and Muhammad also, and oh no, we will not touch you, and slap me on this cheek and leave them, and as soon as they get power in Medina, they became very aggressive. They killed like full this tribe of Jews and this, and they were attacking, and they were doing all this attacking on their caravans and all that. So as soon as the problem with me, what I have with religion is, as soon as you give it a power, the real the face of the evil face comes out. So if you neutralize Europe, they did a very clever thing when they neutralized the religion. They completely neutralized it. They pushed everybody, all these religious people and Pope and everyone, and they restrict them into their temples or in their churches and all that. And then they progressed. But the problem with our countries like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and all these Asian countries or African countries, we cannot neutralize, and the religion is like the main part of our society and our culture and all that. So that's why it is, it makes everything, they can stop everything. They say, oh, we will not have, we cannot have this printing press, this is haram. We cannot have internet, this is haram. We cannot have this or that. And as soon as the religion takes power, you cannot have a progressive country. You cannot.
Absolutely. That's why I agree with you that secularism, liberal secularism is the best, because it guarantees rights for everybody without having this one religion over another. Of course, that's dependent on people voting not based on identity, right? So they have to vote based on values rather than because if you vote based on identity, you end up with what India has now, where you have BJP, right, and you have this this strong
fundament, RSS,
exactly,
yeah,
right?
pro-Hindu,
yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. They are powerful there in India. So Muslims are the ones who are scared, and they are very humble and very. And as soon as in Pakistan Muslims become powerful and Hindus are minority, they are again they are again very aggressive and against the minorities.
Absolutely.
So this is the problem. This is the problem with the religion, because as soon as it gets power, it makes the other minority religions, their life, it's on threat, and they become that is what we are against at.
Yes.
And and my anthem is Imagine, like John Lennon nowadays.
So where do you go from here now? You're still living in Pakistan. You're an not atheist. You're deist in the closet, I guess.
Yeah,
People
kind
know.
of. And
who knows that who knows your real beliefs really in your life? Like, does anyone know this, or you keep it from your family?
Family knows about it, and a lot of people, like some friends, have come to know. And since they are not very aggressive, and the aggressive ones are not in Pakistan, so they are all cool about it. And they sometimes ask me, and I tell them that I don't believe in religion, but I believe in God. So they still have a hope that I am. I am still, a God believer, not a complete atheist. Okay, we have talking about serious thing, but like why I will never become an atheist. There is a funny answer to that as well, which the funny answer is that, for example, I die today, and they put me into the grave, and maybe they will pray. Although I told my brother not to have this janaza and prayer and all that for me, but if when I die, I don't know what they want to do with me. So they put me into the grave, and my body starts, how it's
decomposing.
Decomposing, and all these atoms and breaking and going, and I'm lying there and decomposing, and let's take that I am an atheist. Okay, I'm sure that you cannot come to my grave. You're in Canada, and you will not come and say that, hey Salman, you did a great job, man. You're an atheist. You died an atheist, or Richard Dawkins or Lawrence or somebody. Nobody will come to me, and tap me. Yeah, nobody will say that you did a great job and all that. You died an atheist. In the second scenario, again in the grave, decomposing, and my eyes open again, and there is a God. So I'm fucked. So it's better to say, it's better to be not an atheist. And whoever I see, as soon as I open my eyes, I said, "You are the one I always believed in."
But so that's
So,
called
because
Pascal's
there is
wager, right?
what
Pascal's wager.
wager?
Yeah, Pascal's wager. So this is Pascal's wager.
Pascal.
Yeah, yeah,
Pascal
yeah, yeah.
wager. Okay.
Yeah.
I got it now.
The problem is
Yeah.
Pascal's wager doesn't really work because Ganesh, if Ganesh sees you and he says you didn't believe in me specifically, or Allah wouldn't accept that you believe in a God other than him because you rejected his messengers and all that, right?
I am a good manipulator. I will manage that once if I believe something. But if I don't believe anything, then I don't stand anywhere.
The funny thing is, some people have said that what if God is testing us by sending all of these garbage religions, and the atheists, the ones that reject them all, that's the ones he'll be like, "Yeah, my boys,
you are my boys, and you're going to."
Even though I put myself on you, right?
And you are getting all the 72 versions, which they thought they are going to get.
Yeah.
The 72 version is such a funny thing. This is like a drug. This is what they use to create all these terrorists. This is, like when there was a kid who was caught, who was a suicide bomber, and they have interviewed him, and what he said is like when they were taking them for a mission, when he was on and it is on, you can watch it on YouTube. And when they were taking him, this driver, he was like driving, zigzagging and all that. And these kids got, suspicious because he was a very good driver. And, they used to go with him many places. He was driving very well and all. And, and they asked him why he's driving like this, like he's a drunk person and he's going one side and there is no traffic. And he said, since you're going for this mission for, becoming a suicider, like this, you are going to do this suicide attack on this somewhere, in a mosque or in some place in Pakistan. And there are a lot of, who's are, they came to know that you are going to join them. So I can see them coming down, to welcome you, and these hundreds, because there were a lot of boys because there were a lot of suicide bombers in this van. So 72 multiply into like maybe 50 or something like that. So he said there's hundreds of them are coming down to welcome you, and I don't want to hit them with my car, and I'm trying to save them. So imagine how they are brainwashing.
Oh yeah.
So this kid is believing, these 72 visions are coming. And when we come to this life after that theory, this is the most dangerous theory in religion, because it makes you forget about this world. And if you are living a bad life, what you want to have, like if you don't have good food, if you don't have good life, and you hear about all this and you believe in this, that you're going to get, all this heaven and women and this and that, what you want to do? You want to die as soon as possible, right?
Yeah. And a big part of it as well is sexual frustration. You're a young man and you're told you can't date, you can't have a relationship, you have to have this big mahar, you have to delay, and then you're waiting until your 20s and 30s, and then someone promises you, hey, I'm going to give you something right now. All you have to do is, you for a split second, and then it's over, and then you get to, enjoy eternity with these big, full-breasted women, right? Beautiful, virgin, whatever. So this is like counter-terrorism research has shown that this is like actually an issue. This is actually part of the brainwashing. Sexual frustration is used, and no doubt that's what was used back then.
Samir,
right?
can you give me 2 minutes? I'll just join you. Just a second.
So while we're just waiting, I'm hearing myself. Can you mute your microphone for 1 second? Oh wait, I can mute him. Okay. Hello. Okay, much better. I'm just gonna go through the questions while I'm waiting. Someone's asking, where does Abdullah Samir live? I live in Canada. Yeah, generally in Canada. I'm not usually more specific than that. Da, da, da. Anthony says, with at least 200 billion galaxies and around one with a whole lot of zero planets in an observable universe, can anyone explain the need for God to create so many planets just for humankind? Yeah, that's one of the issues with the universe, with the age of the universe, with the fact that, you know, with 13.8 billion years it took for us to get to where we are now, and only now we start believing in God, right? Like, maybe there is other intelligent life in the world. Maybe this world has been inhabited by other God worshippers. Who knows, right? But we have no evidence of any other creatures that believe in God other than ourselves. So how did we end up at the point where we are able to self-reflect? Well, it's our evolution. Our evolution has got us to the point where we are able to observe ourselves. We're able to observe the universe. In fact, we are the universe observing itself, which is quite amazing if you think about it. It took maybe the universe 13.8 billion years for it to become self-observant, which is kind of an interesting way of putting. Alan Watts actually said that so poetically, that the universe is observing itself through humanity, which is a fascinating way to look at it. If anyone has questions, I know there was a few questions about Super Sufi. What did he study? Where did he study Buddhism and Hinduism, or what books he read? And I do realize that, you know, you have to realize that in a chat like this, in an informal discussion between two non-experts, you're going to have some misspeaks. You're going to say a few things that are going to be a little bit off. So do forgive our guests, and do forgive me if, you know, we misspeak or we say something that's not totally true. Sometimes we're going by, you know, general stories that we've heard, like, for example, about Giordani Bruno, stuff like that, right? About Buddha. We're going back thousands of years. Okay, you're back. I was just going through some of the comments there. How are we doing for time? We've been live now for 1.5 hours, so I guess we can start to close it off now. I just wanted to ask you, like, where you're going from here now. So, you know, you're in Pakistan, obviously, and your whole country is basically revolves around Islam. What does that mean for you, and what are you looking forward to seeing, you know, and to with Pakistan and with the world, and, you know, with yourself? Where are you going from here?
If you don't believe in religion, it's not only Pakistan. Living in any, especially in living with a country which is based on the ideology of Islam, it's not very safe to live in this country, you know, in that way. Because if you write something, why I'm not on a video chat? Because I don't want people. Why I'm not using my real name? Because if I, you know, if people come to know with you know, about my views, and, you know, it can be, and we have cases like, you know, people lynched some atheist, or killed, or and in this sort of situation, you know, just if somebody put a blame on someone, people are living, you know, people who have spent many years in their life in jail, and nobody can, even a lawyer cannot take their case because they are scared. So it's such a bad situation. So the best thing for me is to leave, and I'm thinking of moving out of Pakistan soon, maybe somewhere in Europe, and, you know, let's see, hope for the best, and then I can be more vocal. I can, you know, I can use my real name. I can use a video and all that, and, you know, or basically I'm working on a book,
Nice.
which is going to be all my you know, thoughts and theories and all that, and of course that will be more, you know, I will do my research if I write something. Now I'm like how you said that we are not an expert on Buddhism, or you know, even Christianity or Judaism, or you know, any other religion, and we are just saying things, like, except for Islam, we are just, you know, saying things which we heard or which we studied, and we didn't do, you know, proper research on them. So when I'm going to write a book, of course, when I will give references, and I will mention these things, so that will be more concrete. When I talk about prophets being revolutionists, or if I talk about Buddha to be agnostic, or I talk of Muhammad to be maybe a revolutionist, agnostic, maybe whatever. So I will use references from hadiths, because I know that where Muhammad is concerned, there are hadiths which or sirah which explains that he stopped this ritual, he stopped this, and he said don't do that, and no worshipping and this and that, and all these rituals later on after his death has come back. And the people who were actually controlling the family of Sufyan, which was the people who were controlling the financial part of it, took over again in 30 years of his time. So same family started ruling again, which was ruling earlier, the elite, the Muawiyah and these people,
Yeah.
So so you can see that how this anti-revolution works. The revolution, and then there's an anti-revolution, and the same people come back. Look at in Iran as well. The Shah had this religious elite, and then later on, all these guys have grown their beards, and maybe some of them are from that elite also, because whenever there is a revolution, later on, all this religious elite will take over. It happens like that.
Yeah, we can't take for granted, that religion is going away, even though people do actually, believe that religion is going down, which it is. There's always a chance of it coming back, and we can't take it for granted, right?
No, I don't think it will. Till the time all these people who are blind followers and blind believers, they have a gene, with this blind following gene. So people who have this gene and they are in majority, you can never be, they have this thing to, they need a leader, or they need to follow somebody. Somebody should take, they cannot. If somebody is not sitting on their head, whether it's a god or a boss or a manager or a director, they cannot make their own decisions. They have to depend on someone. So people who are dependent, who are always like this, and they are in majority, religion will be always there. You cannot eliminate religion. And more like it depends more on how educated the people are. And then unfortunately, in Pakistan and India, it's not like majority is not educated. So this also plays a big role, because more you have illiterate people, more superstitious they are. But then I get very surprised when when you look at Europe, and and I always I talk about it in a funny way that if we compare Hinduism and monotheist religion, at least they are talking about one god or something, and they are not worshipping some animals, or some worshipping some forms of idols or something like that. But where very educated Europe gets inspired by Krishnaism or Hinduism, and they go into all this. So even sometimes education doesn't help. And there are a lot of this gurus who are operating in Europe, and they, of course, when they are in Europe, since Hinduism is not a strict religion, there's no code like we have in Islam or in Judaism. So they take out all the good part of it, and they show it to their audience in Europe, and a lot of people are very inspired by Vedas, and they don't look at the caste system, and they they make cow to be holy, and they bring they think that everything is flying and monkeys and all that, so they believe all this mythology, which is far more funnier than mythology in monotheist religions. So
somebody in the comment is saying you're biased against Hinduism/paganism. He thinks Hinduism is inferior to Christianity, or maybe he's not talking about you, he's talking about someone else, David Wood. To be honest, we all have our opinions about Hinduism.
No,
What
I
other?
don't. I don't believe I believe that they are all same.
Yeah,
I just compared
but they're different,
Hinduism
right?
with Christianity. I just compared it because, like, if monotheist religion at least have one superpower, one God, and then Hindu is. So I'm saying, people when they move from Christianity or Judaism or Islam, and then in Europe they are very educated, but they start believing all this mythology, which is like, okay, mythology in all these three religions is also funny, but not as funny, like. And then there is like, okay, not as or what. There is a funny mythology in Hinduism also, where the earth is placed on four elephants, and these four elephants are standing on some crocodile, or some tortoise or turtle or something, and it's going in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
water. So all these funny stories are there.
yeah,
So even so, the point which I wanted to make was, human mind is there to, like, this people who have this gene for worship, they will always find a way, even if they are very educated also,
yeah,
don't they?
yeah. I
and
mean,
then
it.
they and then they pinpoint at each other, like, if for example, wherever, just for this brother who is thinking that I'm biased about Hinduism, wherever I see a post where a Muslim is mocking a Hindu for drinking tea,
Yeah,
I always post a link on this post in my Facebook, where a Muslim is also drinking a camel pee.
yeah,
Okay, which is in Saudi Arabia, it's very common. I'm drinking pee for Allah and all that, camel
yeah,
pee for Allah. So I always defend Hinduism more than, being biased about
yeah. Yeah,
it. Yeah, because we religions, they mock other religions, but as soon as and as soon as I post this, and these people, usually delete the post completely, because
yeah.
then they have no answer, because they can see that Muslims are also. And how can you label all Hindus drink? There's a very small percentage of Hindus who drink pee, and there is a small percentage of Muslims also who drink camel pee.
Mhm.
So you cannot label the whole Hinduism or Hindus to be drinking pee and just mock them,
Yeah.
when Muslims are doing the same in Saudi Arabia. They are drinking
These are
camel pee.
these are like what's the word? Like these are like easy targets for people. These are like, crass comments you can make. Oh, I'm better than
Mm.
you, right? And atheists do this
Yeah,
too. Everybody does this. Everybody says,
yeah,
I'm better than you because you guys do this thing, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You guys
yeah.
are dumb because of this. But we
Mm.
all should be more kind of, I think, sympathetic to each other and the human
Yeah, yeah,
condition
yeah, yeah.
and all that. Yeah. So any last words? Thank you so much. This has been a great conversation. Do you want to add anything else? I guess we're not going to share your identity right now, but hopefully
Yeah.
when you leave the country, we will do a video chat.
Yeah, sure, we'll do that.
And
And
I always
it
appreciate
was, yeah,
discussing with people that are not in the angry atheist phase, the people that just left religion,
no, not at all.
and people are
No,
like,
no, no,
I hate Islam and blah blah blah, and it's just
no,
like
no,
very
no.
combative, right? This is more like a reasonable dialogue that we had, which is
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, but sometimes I get very, like, sometimes it annoys me when I see, like, what mullahs are doing to the society, like how they have,
Oh
and
yeah.
especially all these madrasas, how they are, and this is a funny thing, when you start talking about this molesting of children in madrasas, you know, when they cannot, like, they argue with me, and when they don't have anything to say, what they say? So you were in a madrasa and you were got molested. That's why you're talking about it. And that makes me so angry. Not because he's accusing me. Instead of,
It's ad hominem,
I
right?
am, huh?
It's ad hominem,
Yeah.
like a
And
personal attack. Yeah.
yeah, personal, for no, but I have never been to a madrasa. And they, like, and people who did this attack on me, they know me very well. And I have never studied in a madrasa in my life. And still they do it because they think that this is the only, you cannot. The problem in Pakistan sometimes is that you cannot talk about somebody's, rights or human rights. People even, get angry if you talk about, and they don't like it. Like, if they worship their mullahs, okay, and you point at them that they are, molesting children, and every week we find, the case, and there is somebody got caught, and even videos and all that. So they have nothing to say to, just a personal attack saying, oh, you got molested, that's why you talk about it. I am getting molested because I'm watching these children who are like my children. So yes. So that is the problem, which makes me a bit angry. But religion, of course, I like you. And when I'm a humanitarian. I love everyone, and I love all humans. And I think that okay, I understood something, and I want to share. Maybe somebody else can do their research. I always say, don't believe what I'm saying. Just do yourself a favor. Be critical, and try to find the truth yourself. Just be critical your own belief. Just be critical about your own religion, and that's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Someone, I just had to respond to this. Someone said Ismailis are not real Muslims, so you're not really an ex-Muslim. This goes back to the conversation we had before we went live about what's a real Muslim.
Yeah.
And it's funny that everybody thinks that their sect is a real Muslim. Nobody else.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I wasn't even Ismaili, like basically for more than my childhood. I was Sunni for my adult life. So how am I not a real ex-Muslim? Like I was Sunni Muslim.
Listen, Samir, there's a funny thing. There is, like Qadianis, for example, Ahmadis. They are not considered, and as per Pakistani law, also constitution, they are non-Muslims. But when recently there is a guy from Gujarat. His name is, maybe you have seen his videos, Ahmad Isa. He claims to be the new prophet. Okay, he claimed prophecy again. Ahmadis are now calling him a kafir and saying Ahmadis are accusing him to be coming up with a new prophet and a new religion.
Yeah. It's funny, but that's what everyone does, right? Mormonism is a new prophet, and then you have Baha'ism that is everybody wants to make claim to their own religion, right?
But if we spread the canvas, when Jesus came, Jews said he's not the prophet. When
they said he's not Muhammad he said that he's not the Messiah.
He's not a Messiah, not even prophet. They called him that
he was a rabbi. No, he was a rabbi, Jewish rabbi.
Okay, he was a Jewish rabbi, but he was not. They didn't accept him as a Messiah or a prophet. They said that they even accused him to be, not, he was born without wedlock. They never accepted him to be son of God or something. Which as per Christian, So they were very critical about him and didn't accept him as a Messiah or a prophet. And when Muhammad came, they have both Christians and Jews didn't accept him as a prophet. So always when there is a new one comes, the older ones, the ones who are before him, they always call him a liar, and this is always how it goes. And when this guy came, this Mirza, so Muslims said, oh, he's wrong. And when this Ahmad Isa came now, Qadianis are saying that it's also part of the game, It's part of the big game.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, part of the big game. Okay, fine. Okay. It was really nice talking to you, and thank you very much for inviting me. And it was nice talking and discussing.
Okay, folks, so whoever's watching live, obviously we're not going to share any of his social media, anything like that. Our friend Super Sufi is still in the closet, but thank you for joining us. And I have some more videos coming out soon. I'm not doing many live videos right now, so this is a rare treat for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for more content. Thank you so much. And if you feel like supporting this channel, do check out my Patreon as well. I have a Patreon page, and I would appreciate the help. Thank you.